Hi, Tanya Rodriguez here, founder of TanyaPura.life and the Balance Your Hormones, Banish Your Bulge method. So it's been a little while since I've come to you live, and I decided it's about time to do another video. Because it's just been too long. So today I wanted to talk on a topic that can be quite emotive and maybe even a bit controversial. And that's the topic of dieting, and more specifically, which diet is really the best one, right? So I get asked this question all the time, and very often the answer is, well, it depends. So with all the options out there these days, we've got juice cleanses, detoxes, keto, paleo, plant-based, blood type, and so forth. It really can be quite a minefield to navigate and decide which one is the best one for you. And all of the gurus and the followers of each one have their very strong opinions and compelling reasons for why they think their way is the best way. And if you're anything like me, in the quest for getting really healthy, or maybe it's because you want to look good and feel good, you've probably tried more than your fair share of eating plans out there, only to find that, maybe some of them sort of worked, or while you were following them, they were going well, but the minute you stopped, it all kind of fell apart and you were straight back at square one. Or maybe some of them felt kind of impossible to sustain, right? Either because they were kind of complicated or required a lot of planning and preparation, or maybe you just felt really hungry and crabby all the time. So as someone living with autoimmune, I'm constantly seeking to optimize how I eat and how I live in order to manage my condition naturally, so that I can enjoy life without pain and without being on really toxic medication. So I know that if I stick to the fundamentals, like eating real whole foods, prioritizing quality sleep, making time for self-care, ensuring that I stay hydrated, that I move my body, and that I manage my reaction to stress, I'm generally going to be feeling good. And for the most part, I think I do a pretty good job of this. Although I do have to admit that the stress piece is by far my weakest link. I could work all day and night if I didn't make a conscious effort to switch off and unwind. And I'm sure that's probably similar for many of you out there. So despite living and working in the health coaching space every day, I myself can still fall prey to the promises made by all the different cleanses and the science on the different, nutrition trends these days. So I want to tell you about the two most recent ones, or the most recent experiments, where I thought I'd give that a try and see what it feels like. My first one was a little foray into veganism. And that was over the course of probably last year or 2019. I tried it after watching the Game Changers, the Netflix program. And of course, the science made sense to me because it seemed like a viable way to reduce inflammation, which can sometimes, and for some people, be exacerbated by eating a lot of animal products. So I tried it. And as someone who typically considers themselves quite a full-blown carnivore, I actually thought it would be much harder than it was. And maybe this is because I had already given up things like dairy sometime before that. So now it was just the next step of, quitting meat. So initially I felt great. I had loads of energy. My joints felt really good. I even lost a couple of kilos, although that wasn't really my main goal. But after a few months, my energy levels dropped, and I noticed that I started to pick up a bit of weight and had quite a lot of water retention. So that was something that was unusual. It started well and then it dipped off. And again, not to mention the fact that, veganism is pretty restrictive, especially if you're eating out. Many of the vegan dishes I found on menus were pasta or rice or potato based, and these are ingredients that I typically don't eat anyway, so it was quite difficult and restrictive for me to find alternate options. This year, I decided to try something different, and I went full-blown keto and included intermittent fasting. So reading about ketosis and how it works to switch your body from a sugar-burning to a fat-burning machine sounded amazing, and how intermittent fasting works really well for reducing insulin resistance and stimulating growth hormone to reduce inflammation, among other benefits. So this seemed like a good idea for me. So how did it go? Well, in general, pretty great. I was very happy to be eating meat again. And the benefits for me have been that I actually no longer feel hypoglycemic. So I used to get really, and very suddenly, low blood sugar, where I'd feel hangry and get like immense sugar cravings. And I don't feel that anymore. I also don't have joint inflammation or pain. And I did again drop a few pounds, which was really nice, specifically around the midsection and the muffin top, which I had developed while eating vegan. And I also, another benefit was that I definitely noticed the promised kind of lift in brain fog. So that was a nice side effect, let's say, a nice effect. However, it wasn't all roses. So as someone who has thankfully been able to get back to endurance sport, so road biking, doing this on a very low carb diet was actually quite challenging. So keeping up with my cycle buddies on a longer ride was pretty hard. I think I ran out of energy much quicker than they did. And as a side effect, I was wiped out after those long rides because I think the body just needs a bit of carbohydrates to fuel that amount of energy output. And of course, again, it can be quite limiting, especially when you're eating out, depending on which restaurant you're going to, although it is, I found it much easier than veganism. So what did I learn from all of this? Well, I came around full circle back to the notion that there really is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to dieting or eating well. All of us are unique in our preferences, our biochemistry, and the body's actual needs. So still, the answer to the question, what's the best way to eat, is that it really depends. It's 100% bio-individual. So what works for me will be totally different to what works for you. And what works for me right now will probably be totally different to what my body needs in a few months' time. So to quote my lecturer at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, one man's food is another man's poison. And the best advice I can give you is to listen to the cues that your body is giving you at any given point. So I know for myself that omitting animal proteins means that the biochemistry of my body suffers from an insufficiency of key nutrients for energy and thyroid function, like B vitamins, amino acids, and zinc, among others. I also know that seriously reducing my carbohydrate intake puts my body under pretty immense physical stress, leaving me with little energy to enjoy the rest of my day, which in the long run reduces my resiliency and increases the likelihood of my autoimmune flaring up anyway. So really the bottom line when it comes to the crunch on deciding whether or not to try the latest extreme nutrition trend, I say choose wisely. So consider your body's unique needs based on your lifestyle and your intuition. We all have a general sense of what works for us. And in general, my best advice would be just choose real food over processed or prepackaged foods. So that's foods with ingredients you can actually recognize that haven't been, pounded, hydrogenized, processed, etc. Eat the rainbow, so include fruits and vegetables of all different colors to ensure that you're maximizing your intake of all sorts of nutrients and vitamins and minerals. If you can, and if your budget permits, opt for organic produce to eliminate all sorts of toxic pesticides and herbicides. Definitely, if you're eating meat, go for free-range, grass-fed and hormone-free meats, or and wild-caught fish would be the recommendation. Choose whole grains like quinoa or buckwheat or brown or wild rice over refined carbohydrates like breads and pastas. These will sustain your energy levels much longer, and they won't result in sugar spikes and drops. And definitely include healthy fats like avocados, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, and coconut oils. These will ensure that you are staying fuller for longer, that you won't be tempted to snack on all those high carbohydrate, high processed goodies. And they also really help to drive all the biochemical processes in the body. So yeah, that's what I've learned. I am definitely a sucker for trying all the latest and greatest. Maybe you are too. But that would be my advice. See what your body needs, feel what your body needs actually at the time. This will vary depending on where you are, what phase of life you're in, and what your energy output needs are. And just really eat intuitively and as healthily as possible. So if you want more information, you can follow me on Facebook at tanyapura.life. You can continue to follow me here on Instagram, tanyapura.life, or visit my website at www.tanyapura.life. See you again.